Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to create a backup for Microsoft SQL Server database on VSS backup mode using AssayOBM. Assay offers two Microsoft SQL backup modes depending on your setup and database operation. VSS backup mode, which uses Microsoft Volume Shallow Copy Service to take a snapshot of the databases to ensure complete data consistency and allows for hot database backups with minimal impact to end-user experience. And ODBC backup mode, where the database files are spooled to a temporary directory before they are uploaded to the backup destination. Using AssayOBM to back up your Microsoft SQL Server database allows you to restore the database to the original storage location and restore to an alternate storage location on the same server. Assay takes the stress out of Microsoft SQL Server database recovery with our automated recovery process, which restores the .mdf data files and transaction log files for ODBC backup mode from the designated storage destination such as Assay Drive. For advanced users, an option exists for manual database recovery or recovery on another server, providing complete control over the recovery process through the Restore as Raw Files feature. Let's jump onto my screen and we'll start to create a backup. On your MS SQL Server, launch AssayOBM. Then log in using your credentials. Click on the Backup Sets tile. Click on the plus icon to create a new backup set. Enter the name of your backup set, then select MS SQL Server Backup as the backup set. There are two backup modes available: VSS mode and ODBC mode. For our example today, we will select VSS mode as our database is set up using a simple recovery model. The advantage of VSS-based backup is that it utilizes Microsoft SQL Server VSS Writer to obtain a consistent snapshot of the MS SQL database, which does not require spooling or staging of the database files, making the backup process fast with minimal interruption and requires much less additional disk space. Select the SQL server. For the login ID and password, it is recommended to use Windows authentication or a trusted connection whenever possible for the authentication to the MS SQL server. This method is tightly integrated with Windows security protocols and is more secured compared to SQL Server authentication. Click Next to proceed. Select the backup source. Select the database that you would like to back up. For our example, we will select the whole server to back up all the available databases. Make sure to always back up the system databases, namely the master, model, and MSDB databases, after every significant update. These files are essential for the operation of the server instance and contribute to a successful recovery of the whole database when backed up. You can conveniently check the recovery model of your databases directly by right-clicking on any of the databases, then select Recovery Model. In our example, the databases are set up with Simple Recovery Model. If required, you can change the recovery model directly from the AssayOBM Backup Source section by selecting a different option. Although it is recommended to consult the database admin before undertaking such changes. Click Next to proceed. Create an automatic backup schedule. Turn on the setting and click on the plus icon to add a schedule. Input the name of the new backup schedule. The backup set type is automatically set to a full database backup when you create an automatic schedule. Using regular backup intervals is crucial for ensuring that changes to the databases are always backed up. To ensure minimal impact on end users, set the schedule of the automatic backup outside working hours. When setting up a backup schedule, consider the hardware performance of the machine, the network bandwidth, and the retention policy settings. For the type setting, you can either select daily, weekly, monthly, or a custom setting. For the start backup setting, you can choose at if you want the backup schedule to start at a specified time, or every if you want it to start at a specified interval. Using regular backup intervals is crucial for ensuring that changes to the database are always backed up. However, having small backup intervals also means that the backup machine must have the appropriate hardware specifications to achieve optimal performance. As the amount of new data grows, ensure the Assay OBM user account has enough storage quota allocation and consider the retention policy settings and retention area storage management. For the stop setting, which is only available if the start backup is set to at, there are two options available. Until full backup completed, where the backup job will only stop running when all the changes to your data are completely backed up regardless of how long it takes, and after, which stops the backup job after a specific time period even if the backup of all your files and folder is not completed. The best practice is to enable run retention policy after backup, which will delete the files and folder in the retention area that have exceeded the retention period. This is to better manage the backup storage quota. For our example, we will create a daily full database backup schedule set at 8 p.m. Click OK, then Next to proceed. Select Sequential as the backup mode, since our example today only has one storage destination. However, if you have more than one storage destination, it is recommended to select Concurrent as the backup mode. Like if you want to back up your files to the Assay drive and a local drive. For our example, we will save our files to the Assay drive. Click on the plus icon and select Assay drive as the destination storage. Click Next to proceed. Use the default setting for encryption. This is the most secure option as it uses Assay's AES to 56-bit data encryption, and it will randomly generate a 44 alphanumeric character encryption key to secure your backup. Remember, once you have selected the encryption settings, it cannot be changed afterwards. If you need to change the encryption settings, you would need to create a brand new backup set and back up all your data again. Click Next to proceed. It is very important to keep a copy of your encryption key before clicking Confirm. If you forget or lose your encryption key, you will lose the ability to access and restore your backup data. Once you have secured the encryption key, click Confirm to proceed. Enter the Windows login credentials to authenticate the scheduled backup job. If the backup schedule is turned off and the selected storage is not a network shared drive, this section will be automatically skipped. The Windows user authentication login credentials can be added later on after creating the backup set. Click Next to proceed. The backup set has been successfully created. Click on Backup Now to start a backup job, or you can click Close and wait for the scheduled backup to start the backup job. Let's click Close and check on the other available settings for our backup set. Click the backup set that we just created. If the Windows user authentication was skipped during the backup set creation, or if you want to update the login credentials, you may do so under the General tab and then scroll down at the bottom right here. Click on the Show Advanced Settings to view the other available options. Click on Deduplication. Deduplication is enabled by default, and when it is turned on, it removes redundant data blocks. The default settings are the optimal settings for deduplication, and for database backups, it saves up to 60% or more storage space, saves cost, and reduces network bandwidth usage. Next, select Retention Policy. The retention policy dictates how long it will hold files and folders that were deleted or modified during a backup job before they are removed. They are stored in the retention area, which is a temporary destination to store the files and folders which can still be restored. Increasing the duration increases the likelihood of recovering older versions of deleted or modified files and folders, increasing the storage required, which translates to a higher storage cost. There are two types of retention policy available. Simple, which is a basic policy where the retained files are removed automatically after a specified number of days or backup jobs. And advanced, which is a more flexible policy which can be used to maximize the scope of your data recovery while minimizing storage usage and cost. You can set it to daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, or a custom setting. Let's go back and select a simple retention policy. Next, select Others. The temporary directory is set to a local volume by default. The temp folder is the default location where ASAOBN temporarily stores backup set index files and temporary restore files. The best practice is to set the temporary directory to another local drive for optimal backup and restore performance. Enable the remove temporary files after backup to effectively manage the free space on the drive. It should not be located on the same partition as the operating system, because if that drive fills up, it could cause the backup machine to crash, preventing your backup from running or completing. It shouldn't also be set to a network drive, as it could affect both backup and restore performance. Click Change and select a different file location. I will select a different local drive to store the temporary files. Select the preferred compression type. You can choose between no compression, normal compression, fast compressed size larger than normal, or fast with optimization for local. We'll use the default setting, which is fast with optimization for local, as this is the optimal setting for our backup set type. Last is Recycle Bin. This feature allows the user to set the number of days the block files that were deleted due to retention policy or data integrity check will be held as added protection. Click Save to save the changes and to go back to the main menu of ASAOBN. We are going to manually run a backup job. Click on the Backup tile, then select the backup set that we just created. Enable the Run Retention Policy after Backup option to permanently delete files and folders in the retention area which have exceeded the retention period to better manage the backup storage quota. Click Backup to run a backup job. The backup has successfully completed. And that's how you back up your databases on Microsoft SQL Server on VSS backup mode using ASAOBN. With ASA, your data is fully protected, armed with the latest technology like immutable backups, where your backup data will never be encrypted, deleted, or modified for total protection against hackers and ransomware. Strong AES 256-bit data encryption ensures that your data is encrypted during transit and when your data is stored, to prevent anyone from reading your data without your permission. Two-factor authentication, to prevent anyone from accessing your data without your permission. Multi-destination backups, to store your backup data in more than one storage destination and across many geographical regions, for maximum protection against natural disasters, fire, or conflicts. And data deduplication, a feature that removes duplicate copies of data that helps you save up to 90% of your storage space, with significant savings on your data storage costs as well as much faster backups. That's why you should choose ASA. Your data is safe with us.